Right now, state and county leaders are out surveying damage from yesterday's storms in Metro Atlanta and surrounding areas.
Our team coverage continues right now. Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb is live in Spalding County tonight. Hi, Chris.
Well, we're still seeing this damage here that is just so extensive. There's no way to capture it just in a few live shots and a few stories. Behind me here, you can see the trees that are uprooted here. And this is all around this area. Homes are damaged. Homes are just obliterated in some spots. Others may have fared a little better with roof damage, and then others have trees on top of them as well. And you know, this storm came late in the afternoon hours, and of course we started seeing some of that damage late last night, but it was as the sun was going down. Now Barnes was up early this morning here in Griffin and in Spalding County just as the sun was coming up, and that's when we started seeing how really extensive it was when we got to the light of day. And he shows us now how families are dealing with surveying all the damage that they're seeing.
This is one of 3 large pine trees that fell onto Jean Leverett's home here in Griffin. They crashed all the way through into her attic and into her den of a home where she's lived only 2 years. Fortunately, she is okay. Jean Leverett is too shaken to talk about her experience, but her neighbor, Dan Dupree, is more than willing to talk about his blessings.
Our chicken coop got crushed.
As the tornado raced toward his home, he and his family raced to the basement. That's where they were when the trees started to fall, one after another. This one crushed the roof of his garage.
And we were praying, and we heard all the noise. Then when we came up, we were spared. The only thing was damaged was the home.
Clinging to his daughter, Tim spoke of the prayers that saw him through the storm.
Just thanking him for what he's done in the past. How much he's done for our family. Just keeping everybody else safe.
North Pine Hill Road is a dangerous tangle of downed trees, power lines, and debris, some of it coming from miles away. Jeannie Schultz heard the tornado warnings and barely had time to make it home. That's where she saw the tornado barreling toward her.
I looked out the kitchen window and I could see the trees going in a circular pattern. And I looked at my husband. He was behind me with pillows and blankets.
She and her family took shelter in a closet, listening to the trees fall. It was over in a flash. Victims of this storm know they are not in it alone. Neighbors have vowed to help one another recover from this devastating tornado. In Griffin, Jerry Carnes, 11 Alive News.
You know, another part of this damage here, you know, we showed you last night the Hobby Lobby that was damaged, the Walmart that was damaged, that had cars overturned, as well as the Dollar General that had the facade of the whole store that was taken off. There's also a funeral home here in Spalding County, here in the Griffin area. There was a family there mourning the loss of their loved one at a viewing right when this storm hit. Molly Oak tells us about how that family had to run for their lives.
It was about 4:30.
The people inside Peterson's funeral home say they were watching the rain. They couldn't see the tornado, but they could hear it.
The howling, it was just different, and I knew then something just said run.
LaDamian Rains is the chief of staff here.
Once we turned that corner, as we was turning it, the tree was coming in on us and windows busting out. It was scary.
Rains says there were about 20 people inside.
We had a family that was viewing their loved one.
Jessica Hardiman's mom died last weekend.
The lights went out first, and then we heard a loud noise, and everybody started running.
Running to rooms in the back, praying for safety.
You know, I'm thankful that none of my family get hurt.
The people inside were okay.
We could have died.
For 3 hours, they stayed back there.
But I didn't know that it would happen like that. I was scared.
It was dark. They couldn't see anything. But Jessica says someone was watching.
I think my mom would look after us.
Searching for comfort in the chaos, finding it in her guardian angel.
We were, there with her.
In Griffin, Molly Oak, 11 Alive News.
And of course, we've been talking a lot about this damage here where it's been worse, down in Griffin, also in Butts County, also over in Troup County. But as you know, living in Metro Atlanta, we had our share of damage there as well. Last night during our coverage, some of the first pictures of damage came in from Austell in Cobb County, where Tracy A. McPeer was showing us how an entire brick wall had fallen off of a warehouse. Tonight, Liza Lucas shows us about additional homes, more than 20 homes damaged in Cobb County.
Families in this Austell neighborhood are just trying to pick up the pieces after some major storm damage. The family that lives here told me that when the storms hit, they had just enough time to make it into the hallway to safety before this huge tree came crashing into their home.
When we went into the hall, that's when I looked out the living room window and saw the leaves swirling around so fast, and the trees were just going like this, and then I saw that big tree just going like this.
Brenda Lewis and her son were home when the storms hit off Ivy Log Drive. They're now staying in a motel and came by to salvage what they can.
This sweater that I've got on, that's all I had. I couldn't grab a jacket or couldn't even get any clothes.
Brenda just grateful she was awake at the time. She says her bedroom upstairs is totally destroyed.
We're just fortunate that we got out of that room.
Brenda's one of many homes hit hard by the storm. Trees across the neighborhood snapped into pieces. Tarps now drape over houses. Victoria Waterman lives a few streets over. A downed tree blocks her front door, but she says she's grateful, knowing some of her neighbors have it much worse.
I'm grateful that it wasn't more damage. I think we're pretty fortunate, around here that no one, got injured.
Cleanup could be a long road for some families. The family that lives here told me a tree hit their house also in 2015, and they were out of their home for 6 months. In Cobb County, I'm Liza Lucas, sending it back to you.